This is the poor intellectual black poet again, and this is about a rose bush that used to live in my house that I found very beautiful, especially in a house, our small house, it was a small acquaintance. But we had a gate that had this beautiful rose bush. It had tons of roses flowing out of it, coming out of the nicks and corners of it. We talk about maybe showing 10 or 13 at a time. It was beautiful. It had the splinters, but it was something. It was the one thing about my house that I think had its own unique aesthetic beauty. So I wrote a poem about it because every winter it would die out, and then it would come back every spring, and it was something that's a remembrance of my childhood. So with with I know it do. This is the poem that I'm gonna do. It's called "The Rose." All right, the rose. The death of winter is coming nearer and nearer as the time will pass. The indication is this moving death shows through the rose, the tree, and the grass. All things die eventually, and the cycle of life continues even in the beautiful rose. The first chills of winter sting the fragile skin as the wind flows, grabbing a single petal off the ever radiant, beautiful single rose. The tree becomes many extravagant colors, warning of the incoming cold. The rose still stands strong, despite the warnings I thought was very bold. The rose stands in defiance of its fate and still shows it's a beautiful rose. The grass stays frostbitten at the tip and gives in and not grows. The frost causes the two rose petals to land on the grass from the beautiful rose. The tree begins to lose leaves as the seasons change course. The rose still fights to keep its beauty, ignoring the winter's force. The first waves of snow tenderly land on the petals of the struggling rose. The tree stands bare once teeming with life, for it by winter was chose. The blizzard blows off the rose petal violently of the weakened rose. The rose is down to the last petal, the last indication of life, the last fight. The rose knows that the spring is too far in sight. The rose battle will be remembered by me as the courageous rose, the rose who died in battle as everything around it froze. The final petal fell from the strong rose. I picked up that last petal from the frozen ground 10 feet away. I kept it in a book for remembrance, and this is what I finally want to say. The rose petal reminds that death will come to all, even a beautiful rose. But we must still always fight to live, strive, while our self grows. I learned so much from that rose. The rose now looks like death with its tangling thorns that give a painful splinter. I know that 8 roses growing in spring will give it back its beauty by the end of the winter. Okay, so it's a poem I wrote about experience in my childhood. Okay, so uh, this is the Black Intellectual Poet, and I'm out. I hope you enjoyed that, and buy my book if you can. The link is on the description.